Welcome everybody back to the Black Brain Trust. Tonight it's just going to be me hosting Mike V. Um, Tonight's discussion will be about Black military talk, AFRICOM and the United Nations and Haiti, as well as the business of Black militarization. So I want to get started by sharing my screen with you guys. I now have a co-facilitator, Mr. Complex Design. What's going on, brother?
Yo, yo, what's good, Mike V?
I'm chilling, brother. I'm chilling. Let me just get this
What's up?
straightened out.
Got a little mechanic work going on in the background. Bear with me.
All right. Yeah. So I'm sharing my screen right now. At least from the host side. I don't know if you guys can see it. Let me present it to everyone.
Let's see. Click the icon from. There we go.
Yep.
All right, there we go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I follow a lot of military stuff. I'm not in the military. I don't work for the U.S. government at the moment. But I do follow a lot of military expositions that go on around the world. So the AAD is the African Aerospace and Defense Expo that just happened a couple weeks ago, back in
Mm,
September. And some of the stuff that they've put on display was black-owned military businesses that cater to other nations as well as the United States, something I didn't even know about.
mm,
So you have the Paramount Group, and there's actually a all-black female, all-black woman um, company that actually is involved in the development of, I want to say, radio electronics and satellite communications on the ground
okay.
for field operations for nation states that are involved in military exercises and stuff, things of that nature.
Mm,
This is a growing market over there, and I think this is maybe if this expo may be of like maybe the second or third one that I've seen so far. Um, this is a multi-billion-dollar market. There's not enough resources to go around in terms of manufacturing of goods. So there's a desire and a actual market for putting out military hardware. I think a lot of black men who have been in the military should be able to engage this market from the
yeah.
state side. What's your take on this complex?
No, I mean, I've always, well, I'll put it to you like this. There's a lot of dudes that I know that have parlayed their military experience into the private sector, right? So these are dudes that learned some skills in the military, got out, then started their own business, like fabricating, right? Doing, they may do welding or fabrication and do all types of stuff, but they'll have like one shop, and let's just say, they'll wrench on like, they're building custom exhausts, high-end exhausts for like Lamborghinis and stuff like that, and then they're also getting contract business from the government, to do the same type of work, but just in a different venue. So that's a very robust industry here in California. You have Lockheed Martin. that's out in the high desert where I do a lot of racing. And so there's actually quite a few um, military industrial complex firms out there, large scale ones, mid-sized ones, private firms. Yeah, I mean, I see, I just see it as a transference of skills. You're taking your skill sets from one venue over into the other, and going into the private sector to get contract work, business, and stuff like that. I mean, it beats a 9 to 5 all day long.
Right, and what I'm seeing at least from the from this video, this is just the intro video. I'm just playing it. There's
Hmm.
other videos that's associated with it. Um, part one, part two. If you look in the description below, you'll see that the links to the video. I'm not going to play all the videos. I just want to showcase that this exposition is actually happening, or it did happen.
Hmm.
You have a desire for helicopters. I saw in another video robots that they had on the ground that they were working on.
Mm.
Um, Airplanes with fifth generation technology. I think some of these airplanes that they're using actually refurbish airplanes or refurbish
Hmm.
airframes with modernized electronics in it. I saw
Right.
one video with a
They fit it with new they fit it with new kit basically.
right. It goes from analog to digital. So a lot of your
Hmm.
1960s and 1970s stuff is being modernized with digital electronics. So basically, you have a old airframe um, that's probably like 35, 40 years old, being re-outfitted with new cyber warfare capabilities and all types of high definition LCDs and stuff like that. So I
They,
saw we talked about this earlier this week about the Russian MiG 31 has been
hmm.
redeveloped and repurposed. The whole entire plane is one big fuselage. So every small compartment on the plane actually has fuel capacity capability um, throughout the whole entire plane. Even the rudders itself. The rudders have basically little bladders inside of them that hold fuel.
Hmm. Now, didn't the U.S. Air Force do something similar with the gosh, I'm trying to remember the plane. I think it's like the C-10. It's a plane they've been using it since like the 60s, right? But it's still commissioned in today as a spy plane. So what that
Yes.
tells you is that what that tells you is that like yeah, the shell is the plane that was being flown in the 60s. Inside that bitch though, oh no, a whole nother ballgame.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think that from a business perspective, I think that there's an opportunity here. I think that we have the wherewithal to take other vehicles and actually beef them
Hmm.
up into things that could be usable out in these
Oh,
out in the African
dude,
environment and actually create a whole new industry for us in
hell,
the United States. Referring
hell
to black men.
yes. Hell yes. No, no, no. I agree like 110% on that one. Um, I mean, I would even go so far as to say that you could take it a step further and take open source, free and available open source platforms, regardless of what they may be, right? And repurpose them for specific applications. And that's the whole point and nature of open source projects and stuff like that. It's kind of open use. You take it, make something with it, purpose built, and do it that way as well. So, I would say that's basically a lower zero cost way of bootstrapping a business, and then doing what you're saying, actually repurposing previously developed vehicles, things of that sort, and repurposing them with the latest technology, kitting them up. That's another venue to pursue.
Yeah, I'm a technology person, so I don't really have all the in and outs of what level protection you need for
Hmm.
mine resistant ambush protection under any other sort of armored personnel carriers and infantry fighting vehicles and things of that nature. I mean, I do have some
Hmm.
ideas of how I would go about it, but I'm not familiar with that area. But I think that there are a lot of black men who do come to our hangouts and hang in the manosphere that could actually benefit from this. I mean, you have a security clearance, but you may not even be using it. I think that you should actually take advantage of these opportunities. I don't know if anybody's looking at the video right now being displayed. That there's there's factories in Detroit that are just unused,
Mm-hmm.
underutilized, or for sale for pennies on the dollar that could actually be repurposed for that very reason. I mean, we have a company here in Massachusetts called Lenco who actually designs all the armored personnel carriers for the SWAT team in the United States. Um, they're not public; they're actually private, and they actually do a
Right.
lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do a lot of
Th-
work
They're based out of
supplying
Boston,
all these vehicles. They're based out of Springfield, up in Massachusetts.
Springfield.
So,
Okay.
yep,
Hmm. All those SWAT vehicles, huh? Like I mean, they
yeah,
all have like that basic sort of that armored vehicle type design. Okay, I didn't know that was them.
yeah, Lenco. Yeah, if you ever see it's
Yeah.
Lenco, they're
Mm-hmm.
very
Yeah, I've seen them.
they reutilize the same design over and over and over. They use it for obviously for all local police departments have them. All state police departments have them, and as well as FBI and I believe it's ATF uses them.
ATF. Yep. Yep.
Yes, yep. So what you're seeing now is you're seeing this kind of like monopolization of military hardware that most black men have either worked on these things, they've driven these vehicles, or they know something about these vehicles, but they're just not in these fields. From my knowledge, I don't want to speak out of context, but they definitely too many black men are in the military and not really taking advantage of these opportunities. So that's why I
Well,
wanted to bring
no,
this up tonight.
yeah, no, I see what you're saying, and so again, I'll kind of relate it to a lot of these dudes that have these shops, right? Matter of fact, there was a couple of dudes that had shops around the corner from where my shop used to be. It's all just shops and stuff, right? And a few of these guys, like they're all like mixed ex-military guys, and what they do is they did just that. They took what they learned in the military and said, hey, dude, let's open up a business, and we'll just use what we know to do like whatever projects come in. Like we'll do our main stuff, which is cars, right? So they linked up with a bunch of people who got cars, show them some of their work, and then they're like, yeah, I'm gonna send my Porsche over to these guys and have them do my titanium exhaust. Okay, those same guys who can do like that, like I'm talking work of art type welding. Those same dudes can weld a fuselage together. Those same dudes could design and weld armored plating onto a vehicle. They do custom projects like that. So those same skills that they acquired in the military, they just transfer it over into their own business, right? And they solicit their business and get projects and contracts. Brothers can do the same thing. They can do the exact same thing.
Right. I was hoping Man of Tomorrow would actually come on. Hoping Lionel would actually come on, but I don't know where those guys are. Um,
Okay. The send. I don't. Did MOT get? Have to send MOT the link.
I think I sent it out to him.
Okay.
I know he was on Edward Anderson's hangout earlier, but might be busy, might be on the road. So I
Yeah.
still want to have this discussion, for the next hour or so.
Yeah. No. Let's do it. Let's do it, man.
Yes, yes. So anybody who's looking at the video, looking at the screen that I'm presenting as the host, if you look in the background, you see these little models of these vehicles set up. Paramount is a black-owned African military company. Basically, they build armored personnel carriers, ballistic protection for tanks, and as well as aircraft, small aircraft, drones. There's a number of drones that they have, torpedoes, and every single accessory that your military would need that they actually design. They actually design from the ground up. Um,
Hmm.
I think we should replicate a similar model. But I'm more of a tech person, right? So I focus on AI. I focus on automation for myself. Just thinking out loud, and I say, well, if you're a small country, if you're somebody like Togo or Benin, and you don't have a whole lot of resources, how do I approach
Hmm.
that situation and say, um, let's beef up the military or let's beef up our security, but without actually
You can,
investing a whole lot of money in. I think black men could be the new
right.
Chinese men and undercut that area.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, if you take if you kind of take a forward thinking approach to that, then automatically what comes to my mind is like, you know, uh, specialty drone application development, because drones are relatively cheap, right? But they have a myriad of uses. So things of that sort, those especially when you're talking like small countries and stuff like that. So you can't really have like a huge expenditure in terms of like your military budget. You're gonna have to be smart with that expenditure. So I'm thinking along the lines of what you're talking about, artificial intelligence, maybe things like or a combination of the two, artificial intelligence and drones, right? Because you can have drones that are operated through an artificial intelligence algorithm. We've seen it with the
Mhm.
Chinese. They had a drone boat demonstration that they did. All these boats were doing all these maneuvers and synchronization in the water. I know Intel has some stuff that they've been doing with artificial AI synchronization in drone usage and stuff like that. So I've already
Mhm.
seen applications where drones have a very interesting look in terms of defense application,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
and relatively
They
inexpensive, and relatively inexpensive.
right. You can weaponize almost anything at this point.
Hmm.
Faber, the name of the company is actually called Paramount Group, not just Paramount. I put the name in the chat for you. But yeah, Milcor
Hmm.
is another black owned military outfit out in Africa that works on maritime security and other forms of land warfare capabilities and land defense capabilities. So
Is that
this boat
their?
that you're seeing in the video,
Yeah.
the boat that you're seeing in the video is actually a it's an autonomous boat. It has the capabilities of just working autonomously. No human personnel needed for it.
What's that like a? That's a what do they call those? The way that hull is shaped. I forgot what type of boat that's called. It's not a hydrofoil. That's a catamaran, I think it's called.
Catamaran, I think.
Catamaran, yeah, catamaran or something like that. Yeah. Wow, that's
It's
interesting, man.
capable of carrying a dozen personnel. That gun that you see at the top is automated, 12.7 millimeters. Has missile capabilities as well. You can take down a U.S. warship, or I shouldn't say a U.S. warship, but a littoral class warship. One of those, especially just not just one, but those things work in squads, right? So they five to ten of them at a time.
Hmm. Shock integrated cabin.
Yes,
Damn, is an optional weapon weapon station.
absolutely. It's to me, it's brilliant. I couldn't think of something like that personally, but that's definitely brilliant stuff, man. And it probably doesn't cost them a lot, anyways.
Yeah, I can see. Well, they're using outboard motors.
Right. Because it's light. It's
Yeah,
looking
it's
at
a
the
light.
design. It isn't like it weighs anything.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's a catamaran. Like the way the hull is shaped, this thing is supposed to go fast. I think
Right.
it's just
And
merely supposed to
it
like
has
cut through water and get out. Yeah.
and it has ballistic protection all around it. So even if you try to shoot it like a 50 cal weapon at it, it's not going to go through there. At least not in the first round.
Hmm. Interesting.
Now, if you yeah, the drones, those
The
drones are
drones. Okay. We were just
pretty
talking about
fantastic
those.
stuff that they're doing. Yes.
Hmm. We were just talking about these.
Hmm.
Wow. And it's like all the different designs that they have on them. Because like traditionally, you're thinking about the quad rotor drones, right? But all of these types of aerial vehicles that are essentially just remote controlled are essentially drones.
Right. right, and they have different classes for them.
Yeah.
Light, medium, and heavy class drones. I think the heavy classes, what you're gonna weaponize those. Put all your Hellfire missiles and whatever type of artillery you can put on them. I saw one of the videos had one of the drones sat up there. Had a duration time of 36 hours. I think that's pretty interesting. Coming from if all this is coming out of Africa, you know I doubt what people say about some of these stereotypes that Africans are just living in the bush and they don't know what they're doing. I beg to differ
No,
based on these videos that I'm watching.
not only that, but I would also beg to differ just based on the brain capital that exists in Africa. Like it's just like you said, there's a misconception that it's just people living out in the bush or something like that. No, there's highly intelligent people there, highly intelligent people capable of developing stuff like this. Absolutely, all over the continent.
That APC that we're seeing in the video right now, I think it was designed off of a Ford F450 chassis. I want to say it is.
Okay.
One of the big Super Duty chassis.
Yeah.
Basically they just buy the chassis and just put all their equipment on it, and and also buy the engine from Ford. If you look on Ford's website, the commercial website,
You
there's
can buy the
actually a
chassis.
section.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just buy the chassis as it is and
Mm-hmm.
modify it the way you want it, and it's dirt
Mm-hmm.
cheap. I think it's something like maybe like 15, 20 grand for a chassis,
Mm-hmm.
rolling chassis.
Yep. Yep. I mean, it's they open up that side of the business no different than like company a lot of the automotive manufacturers that have like a racing division where they sell turnkey race cars and stuff. It's kind of like the same thing, right? They basically pull the chassis off the line at a certain portion of assembly, and then they repurpose it for another application or make it available for somebody else to do it.
Mhm.
I'm gonna read a couple of questions here in the chat. Faber's asking where in Africa are they based? I think he's referring to Milcor. You know happen to
Yeah,
know Mike? Okay.
I think it's in South Africa,
South Africa. Okay.
if I remember correctly. Because this is a South African expo. I couldn't find the video with the woman, with the all black woman company, military company. So it was very interesting though to see something like that going down. Again, all these stereotypes about black people, I just, I find that very interesting. And we can even go as far back as slavery, right? Coming out of slavery during Reconstruction, how is it that a
Mm-hmm.
group of people who have been, subjugated for these hundreds of years can suddenly just come right out of the cotton field, right in, and start building universities, start building, you know, all types of inventions, the filament for a light bulb and
Mm-hmm.
uh, the telephone, communications. How is this possible, right? People say all these things about what black man can't do, and they don't, they can't fight white supremacy, all this bullshit. But I beg to differ.
I
Hello,
mean,
how's
you
everybody
know,
doing?
oh, Mr. Lionel, how you doing, sir?
Good.
You all right?
Yeah.
Hey, what's going on, brother?
Not much yourself.
You coming
Chilling,
down
man,
with
chilling.
something, man?
Nah.
All right. Let's see. I was just checking over in the chat. People make such about Africans living in the bush. I've probably never been there. No, yeah, Abdullah. That's what we were just speaking to, bro. You know, Africa's like any other place. There's areas of like high, rich development. Then there's other places where the development isn't as high and rich. And then there's other places where it's extremely rural. We have that here in the United States. So.
Well, when people say that they're showing a level of ignorance because you can go on any YouTube channel that talks about cities in Africa and look at the how modern and good looking they look. So that really shows their level of ignorance. And yeah,
Yeah. I just presented this. last video to everybody, because the vehicle that you see with these big rubber tires on there, is actually a robot as well.
Hmm.
Or it has autonomous capabilities. It could be manned or it could be autonomous. But this thing is basically like a Tonka truck. It just runs around and just runs all over everything. It's from the company called the Straight Group. I believe the Straight Group is out of Dubai, if I remember correctly, right out of the UAE. But
Mm.
they also have offices down there. But I'm just showing it just to
Mm.
because it's about the South African Aerospace and Defense Expo. They have some very interesting products. All of these small vehicles and whatnot. You know, I think one of the other problems is that most African countries can't afford to buy this expensive military hardware that the United States sells, or that
Hmm.
the Middle East is selling them, or the Europeans are selling them. And they probably spend most of their money trying to feed themselves rather than to buy vehicles, right? So that's why a lot of times you see like some of these African militaries running around in Toyota pickup trucks, not because they like Toyota, but because that's what they can afford. That's more affordable. In the United States, you got cities that are, basically on the brink of starvation, food deserts everywhere, and yet they got MRAPs, for the SWAT teams and the rest of the police departments. They'd rather spend their money there. So different priorities, for different sections of the of each continent.
Hmm. And also want to point out the vehicles that are built in Africa are for the different African terrain, but the terrain is similar. I know in past geopolitical shows we've spoken about how it's hard to fight a war in Afghanistan because of the mountainous landscape. So you will have to design machinery just specifically for that landscape. Same with Africa. A lot of the vehicles that you may see that they build doesn't look like terrain in America, not terrain, vehicles or military equipment from America or Russia or even China because it's built for the African terrain.
Hmm. Right. One of the things that Israel during the Yom Kippur War in 1973, what they figured out was that they had to take the tank treads, the iron tank treads off of their tanks because they were sinking into the sand.
Hmm.
And what they did was replace them with rubber treads, which was the first time a military has ever done that before. And other militaries have since followed Israel's lead. Not that I'm an advocate for the state of design a state, but I'm just making a point that um, their awareness of military advancement made changes all around the industry. So a lot of your Egyptian tanks got stuck in the stand in some of these wars, and they couldn't get out, and basically used to sit in ducks.
Right,
And ducks were go ahead.
because they're heavy, they weigh tons already. So when you trying to go over these
Right.
sands with the traditional um, tank tires, these steel threads is not going to go anywhere. And I remember a while ago, a couple months ago, you shared a video on again on our geopolitical hangout, which
Hmm.
the Russians were selling a certain type of tank, but it was a feature on this tank that I forgot the country, but the country didn't opt for this specific type of feature because they didn't need it. Where they were from, they didn't need it. So yeah,
Hmm.
this the military outfits, the not not clothing, but the for the vehicles and the different things you need for the for to build your military up. It's region specific.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, a lot of the countries in Africa that do have these militaries, are looking at other looking at 6-wheel, an 8-wheel, 8x8, 6x6
Mhm.
wheel designs rather than tank tread designs. There's no use for that in certain areas. And places like I think it's like Namibia. A lot of those places is flat land.
Yeah, and
You
desert.
really
Yeah,
don't need. Yeah, you really don't need all that stuff. Even Egypt, the Sinai Peninsula, there's not a lot of mountains over there. I mean, you get maybe 10 feet of elevation, but that's due to sand dunes and stuff like that. You take a 40-ton tank and you try to run that sucker through there,
not gonna get too far.
yeah, you might end up in a sand trap somewhere in a dune.
So now, like you said, you're a sitting duck, and the people that are trained in their terrain, they're smart. These people aren't dumb. They know, okay, you're coming over with this, like you said, 40-ton truck, and it's a sand dune off to the right, and you go direct into the sand dune, and you're sitting duck. They're going to destroy not only your equipment but your personnel.
Right.
You know?
And yeah, I mean, looking at this video right now, look at this this old monster truck that they're using. I
Yeah,
mean, to me that's genius. That is completely genius. That thing probably doesn't get stuck on anything, and even if it does flip over, it probably gets right back onto its wheels based on the design itself.
yeah. The wheels look like it's twice, almost twice the size of, well,
The
not
wheels are 50. They're 50% of the vehicle. And looking at it,
yeah,
and it is an ingenious design because, uh, in all likelihood, if in a rollover scenario, it'll more than likely end up on its wheels.
yeah, because
Look at
it'll.
the look
Right.
at how the front of it is even angled, right?
Mhm.
So it's to actually promote a full roll back onto the wheels.
Right, the front side is angled like a arc. So if it rolls forward, it'll keep going, keep on going.
Right.
Yeah,
What
and not only, go ahead.
No, go right ahead. Go ahead.
Not only the equipment but the personnel. I know when America was fighting in the Vietnam War, they couldn't fight in that terrain and area. People were getting sick and dying, and that cut down on a chunk of your military size personnel fighting in these different regions. You're not used to the weather. You're not used to the jungle area, the high humidity. So this military sector is very serious.
Yeah, and that vehicle that we just looking at, that thing is called the Sherp. It, I, if I remember correctly, Israel had a problem in 2006 when they tried to take southern Lebanon from the Lebanese and the resistance movement Hezbollah. Um, Basically, the Israeli land forces tried to go up the side of these mountains, and they're like the size of a goat path. And you know that. I mean, I know
Mhm.
you're an ex-military guy. You're familiar with the size of a tank. You have a tank that's almost the width of a street, um, and you're trying to squeeze it up a goat path up a mountain. What they did was they hit the first tank and they hit the last tank in the convoy, and basically boxed in the rest of the tanks and took them out one by one.
Mhm.
And they were like sitting ducks, and they couldn't turn around. They couldn't do a U-turn or a three-point turn or anything like that. They were just too big. So
Yeah,
Israel lost 1/3 of their tanks going into that war 10 years ago. Um, but when you have a vehicle like the Sherp, that with those big wheels and the short um, turning radius on it, you can maneuver that thing up and down streets and up the side of goat paths and things of that nature
alleys.
uh,
Yeah.
without getting stuck. Without getting stuck. So to me, that's an ingenious design. I'm a big fan of like technological advancements in military hardware. So
Hmm. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I want to get to the next points on the docket. Um, Lionel, I just want to catch you up real quick. We were just talking about the business aspect of black African-owned military companies.
Hmm. It's a lucrative business. You know, you have, even in I'm gonna say a quote unquote war, like what's going on in the Middle East, you still have civilians, contract civilian personnel out there also fight in the war. It's a very lucrative business.
Right. So I want to get to the fourth point on the docket, which is black men's military experience. What was your military experience like? I know if you can speak to it.
All right. Yeah, my military experience. Ex-Navy submarine veteran. Although I was a cook on a submarine, what a submarine crew is, you have to learn different a working knowledge of the different areas of the submarine. So you have to have a working knowledge of what a sonar do, why they do it, some of their major equipment. I had the I want to say I think it was IT, but they did a number of things such as cleaning the air, uh, doing uh, underwater mapping, so the submarine won't run aground, the water will hit an underground mountain or something like that. And it was different jobs. So my main thing, and I qualify for different things. I actually drove the submarine. Takes two. This is not a secret. Takes two people to operate the submarine underwater, but on surface, take one person to operate it. Um, you can qualify for different things to learn more things of the submarine. You have to qualify. It's called qualifying subs, where you earn your dolphins, which means you learn the different areas, divisions of the submarine, and have a working knowledge of the submarine. I also did 6 months on the carrier. Carriers, well, surface fleet is different from a submarine fleet. Much different. Submarine fleet is more um intimate. You know more each other, but the I did 6 months on an aircraft carrier. Um, Witnessed from the tower the planes taking off and landing. That was a great experience. Um, yeah, so my military extent is just Navy.
Now, how many years did you do?
I did 4 years.
Would you would you go back if you could, or is that a one stop deal?
L- Looking back at the time, it was a one-stop deal, but as
Mhm.
majority or most military people that have been in the military, they say, yeah, I'll do it again because they are more mature and can think further. I would do it again, and to be honest, Um, I wish I would have at least tried to go SEAL, Navy SEAL, because they offered Navy SEALs is a voluntary service, just like submarines. Submarines is a voluntary service. They don't just put you have to volunteer for it. But Navy SEALs, say, hey, boot camp, if you want to try out for Navy SEALs, you can. Um, I wish I would have done that. I would have went through my officer's package. Um, I wish I would have qualified. Uh, I wish I would have got my wings, my aviator wings, but not flying a plane, but knowing about the aircraft carrier, qualifying aircraft carrier. So there's a lot of things you could learn that's open to you to learning.
Now, was any of your skill sets that you picked up, was any of that transferable to the civilian life?
Yeah, absolutely. More of the Air Force and the Navy because the Army and the Marines are combat branches. They're more combat branches. That's not to say that there's no jobs in the Army or the Marines that is transferable. There are, but more than likely, when a person go in those two branches, they are going to be on the front lines in combat. So bomb specialists, things that's not transferable to the civilian life, but the Air Force and the Navy have more jobs. Not to say all of their jobs are transferable, but you have more jobs in the Air Force and Navy that are transferable to the civilian sector. Like me, I was a cook. I had a chance to get get I can't remember what kind of certification, but I was on a 6-month deployment on the carrier. So they had a chef on board teaching. We work 12-hour shift, not the 12-hour shift. You go to the class for like 1 or 2 hours. So I didn't go through that. I was young. I was 21. So I was young, but if I would have done that, that these are things that pay. That actually, I'll give you an example. We were in the shipyards for my submarine, and I say, I'm bored, so I took a job at McDonald's. I wasn't going out to sea. Submarines in the shipyards getting refueled. So when I told them that I was a cook on the submarine, they gave me a higher pay than everybody else walking in the door because I have that experience.
Hmm.
Now, I went to a local grocery store where the submarine was in the shipyards, and went to the bakery section and asked for a job, and they asked, do you have an experience? I said, yeah, I'm a cook on a submarine, and it's like, okay, uh, it's almost like when can you start because you have that experience. You're cooking almost every day.
That's cool. Yeah, and you're right about the Air Force. Because you're dealing with aviation, radar. You need radar technicians at most of these airports. You need radar personnel to watch all these flights come in and out, departures and arrivals. Um, Pilots. You need helicopter pilots for most
Hmm.
civilian operations, whether it's fighting fires.
Mechanics.
And, yeah, mechanics as well. There's a whole litany of areas that are transferable into that area. If you've worked on any any military stuff, you can work on just about anything else in the civilian field. So
Yeah.
you're right about the Air Force. Does open up a lot of opportunities, especially with satellite communications and stuff like that. Big
Hmm.
satellite companies like Dish and Hughes and um, DirecTV, all those companies definitely need that's those sort of skill sets.
I remember being on a 6-month aircraft carrier and seeing guys in the Marines, because the Marines is a department of the Navy, and them working on their helicopters and jets. Marines will have jets also, but them working on the helicopters, and I'm looking at them working on this stuff, and it was like, wow. It was, to me, it looked super complicated because of the machinery in these rotors. But to them, they working in a group, they talking, they know what to do. Obviously, they went to school to learn it, but I'm saying all of this to say that skill that they had working on this stuff, performing maintenance while at sea, regular maintenance, that is highly transferable to companies like Lockheed Martin or Boeing or any other company that deal with aerospace. Now, when we talk about space, that's something that is highly transferable to that also.
Mhm. It's the future of the market. I think we've discussed that many times on this channel. Those skill sets are going to be transferable into these areas.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
What was the
Um,
what was the what was the thing that you like least about going into the military?
the least was people affecting you, other people messing up, and that affecting your what you do. To give an example, I remember when graduating boot camp, I forgot what happened. Someone came back late and they penalized us, and we couldn't go out for liberty. And we were protesting as much as we can, but it don't matter. We didn't get that liberty. Someone broke the rules, came in late. Another is we was in the shipyards. We were behind in our refueling, getting our submarine refuel. We were behind by a couple months, and that cost money. So we had to work weekends, and we worked weekends so much that that thinking. Remember when I didn't work a weekend became a faded memory. We worked 7 days a week, 12 hours, just about 12 hours a day. So that's the
So
least.
you four on, three off, or three on, four off.
Well, why you insure? I take that back. Why you insure is a regular 9 to 5, but while you're at sea on a submarine, it's 12 on, 12 off because you're underwater. You're not going to be on a computer emailing, so it's 12 on, 12 off. Um, on a carrier, it's like a regular 9 to 5. Uh, uh, it's like 10 hours a day on a carrier, 10 to 12 hours a day on a carrier. You have much more freedom, but you still work. It's not like, oh, you're on the submarine and you lose your mind, and you see how deep you are. I can't take it. Now you are working, and it get to a point where you just sit on the mess decks and you just resting from your day at work. And yeah, you're on a submarine, but it's but it's like, oh my god, you just relaxing looking at a movie, and movie somewhere, DVDs or something, and you just enjoying the ride. Yeah, you on a submarine, you 300 some feet underwater, but you just enjoying the ride. It was fun. It became fun, actually.
Mm. Now, I guess what's what do you see like black men's role in the military? Are they undermined, or are they promoted? Is there camaraderie? What is your experience of seeing that?
Oh, there's definitely camaraderie, um, because you're meeting people from different areas, and people that join the military tend to join the military at a young age. So if you join the military, that's your first experience of meeting different people, not only from different states, but even different countries. So, um, not to be, this isn't racist, but people tend to stick to people that look like them. That's just a natural fact. Um, so there's camaraderie. It's just that with black men, the camaraderie does not, the element of studying to get their next rank, or studying to achieve something, that element isn't not injected into a lot of camaraderies within black men in the military, at least in the Navy. Whatever the hoodness that they brought from home, you in this camaraderie, they don't, it's not that, it's not bad where, yeah, this guy's breaking the cars. No, it's just that element of, okay, we got the E4 test is coming up, we can form a study group. It's not practice.
So what does E4 relate to? Is it some kind of scale? E7, E5, E6? What does that refer to?
Yeah, the Navy ranking system, when you first come in, you will come in as an E1, a seaman, apprentice. Say E1, E2, E3. Uh, those are your French fries. Your the little stripes on your shoulders. They call them French fries. So seaman, apprentice, seaman. I just remember seaman and seaman apprentice. I forgot the uh, other name. But then you get into your chevrons, the red little chevrons. You got E4, E5, and E6. You got petty officer third class, petty officer second class. Petty officer third class is E4. Petty officer second class is E5. Petty officer first class is E6. Then you get into your chiefs, which is E7, E8, and E9. E7 is chief. E8 is I forgot the names, but you got 3 levels of chiefs. So 3 levels of seamen, 3 levels of petty officer, and 3 levels of chiefs. Depending on the job or the rate, they call it the rate. So job rate is the same thing. Depending on what you're doing, your rate, that depends on how hard it is to get to the next ranking. Um,
Mhm.
cook for a cook, since there was so many cooks, getting up to E E not E what am I saying? Petty officer first class, it was harder because it the higher you went up, it became a bottleneck, which means you really had to study and you really had to ace your advancement tests.
Mhm. Now, do you think that going to college would have advanced you, put you into a higher ranking role?
Going if you go to the military, you have a college degree, 4-year college degree, you have an option to go to officer school. You have an option to become an officer. And then it's where you lieutenants, commanders, captains. You have a option to go there because to become a officer, you have to have a college degree. Um, there are ways that you can go in at a higher rank. I was on a delayed entry program, so I signed up to go to the military in October 2002. I didn't wind up going to the military until January 30th, 2003. So that was a 3-month waiting period. And they give you this book when you sign up, and they tell you about it and ways you can go to another rank before you even get to boot camp. And one of the ways were to sign up people to the military. Hey, you go around to the recruiters and you sign up other people to go to. So that was one of the ways I went in the military with an E2 ranking.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Some, some people within, social media like to say, the military is exactly the place where most black men need to be, and you know, for a variety of reasons, whether it's discipline or um, career orientation. Do you agree with these kind of suggestions that black men should actually be in the military? That you need to be in this sort of like um, this sort of atmosphere where it's I guess structured in a way.
Those comments are loose. I know one comment that I run into a lot that people say, and I'll circle back to around what you said because it has something to do with it. People will say, "Oh, get these guys off the street and send them over to Iraq and fight a war." To me,
Mhm.
that's tantamount to murder because if you're not sending them to boot camp to learn how to fight in these wars, you just want to round them up and just send them over there. That's murder. That's mass murder because I think we mentioned before with the Houthis in Yemen or in Saudi Arabia, they just are putting helmets and putting guns in other nationalities' hands and fighting their wars and they're getting slaughtered. That's mass murder. So what you were saying, these black men need to go to the military to get training. That can go south really fast. As a matter of fact, that can go south more than it can go good. Because if you say, well, you need to go to the military to get some structure, go to the army or Marines, whatever. And it's normally combat branches, armies and Marines. It's normally that because they say, well, you're a man, so a man fights in the army, a man fights in the Marines. That's their perception of being a man. Well, once you get there, you can get the shittiest they can give you the shittiest job because you're there. You take the ass vibe, you qualify for these jobs, and you don't have, the school you went to didn't teach you about um, um, your reading scores are low, so you get the shittiest job that you qualify for, and you go there, you hate it. You know, it that's it can go south really fast. I knew a guy that he went in as a like an apprentice or something. So he didn't have a job. He wasn't assigned a job. So he bounced around in the military from job to job. And he hated it. You know, he absolutely hated it because one few months he was doing this, the other few months he was doing this. And he just hated it. He couldn't wait to get out. Luckily, you know, I still know him. I still talk to him. He's in the IT field, actually. Come to think about it, he's in the IT field. He got a family, wife, everything. He took that experience of hating being bounced around and made something of it, but other people do not. And when I was that was on a submarine, on a carrier, on a surface fleet, they make you chip and paint, chip the paint and paint the boat. So you hanging off the boat and actually painting a boat this gray color. That is a terrible job. People hate that. So if you don't come in the military with and you take this ASVAB test and you have some type of intellectual knowledge, I'm not saying when I say that I don't mean you have to be a genius, but at least problem solve and have some type of good reading vocabulary, you're going to qualify for the shittiest jobs, and they're going to put you on the front line. You're going to be expendable. So when people say that, a lot of people tend tend to not have been in the military themselves, and the people also when if they have been in the military, they're saying it from experience, and to them they know the ins and outs, so they just saying, hey, go to the military, you know, but they know the ins and outs, but they don't articulate those ins and outs to the people they're telling. And just to give one more example, there was a guy from Houston, Texas, and we were in submarine school, and he said in his contract, because you're signing the contract with the government, that he negotiated to be stationed in Hawaii. And when he said that, everybody was looking like, wait, what do you mean you negotiated? People told him before he went to the military, he had got advice, good advice, saying, you know, this is a contract. You negotiate your contract. And he negotiated, he volunteered for submarines and he negotiated to be stationed in uh, Hawaii.
Hmm.
Blew my
That's,
mind.
that's yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds very interesting. No, I guess my next question would be military police. What is that?
Oh, in the Army, they're MPs. In the Navy, they're MAs. Just was exactly what it sounds like. Military police. Someone act up, they call it MAs, and they call it MAs in the Navy, MPs in the Army. I don't know what they call it in the other branches. Exactly what it is. Last time I know, I think the Navy MAs go to Texas to for training. It's exactly what it is. They're just police. They're the military police.
Okay. You know, you brought up that point about people hanging off the side of ships and actually having to paint them because lack of skill set in other areas, or
Hmm.
efficiencies in other areas. You would think, with all this technology, that they would have some kind of drone that just kind of like sprays the side of the ship as it docks itself,
Hmm.
into a bay or wherever it goes. You know, uh, who wants to put a human body out there to go do some work unless it's for punishment, right? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Not only do the apprentices do it, but you actually they do it for punishment also. When I was in, drones wasn't heard of, so maybe they have that now. They capability now. And also to go back on the negotiation part, I had a roommate. He negotiated the field he went into. I think the IT field. He negotiated to go to certain schools that the military offered. certain certifications the military offered. So he did negotiate that into his contract. But to jump back, what you just mentioned, um, females are not babied. I've seen females hanging off the side of ships, painting the side of ships. So females are not babied in the military, and that was in the Navy. You know, I can imagine in the Army and the Marines. I knew a woman in the Marines. She was on a 6-month deployment with us. She was a black woman, petite. She was cool as all outdoors. I have to say that. But whenever we would go, now, there's no but, she would go to us to work out because on a carrier, the gym is open 23 hours a day, is closed just for cleaning. So I worked out with another Navy guy and another Marine guy. So she was in our workout circle. Mind you, she's a petite woman, you know, she's in shape. She was pushing the weights up. You know, she was pushing the weights up because she was so used to, she's in the Marines, you know, you have to train to be a Marine. Marine is a very cultured and very prideful branch. You're not going to go in there as a woman and, oh, I broke my nails. No, you they will purposely make you cry. If you coming in weak, they will purposely make you cry because they're trying to they're trying to break that softness down, but build you up into a strong-minded person. Uh, Even in the Navy, the Navy is not as gritty and tough as the Marines, but people come in and they've been babied their entire life by their parents, and they cry in boot camp. They actually cry. But for inner city kids, we looking at them like, what are you crying for? This ain't nothing. But people, boot camp is not for everyone. Even the military is not for everyone. It's harder to go to the military. Well, let me rephrase it. It's easier to go to community college than it is to get in the military, you know. Especially nowadays, it's hard to get in the military because you need to meet certain requirements. And when you go, you got to go through boot camp. It's not, you know, people, what other people's mess ups affect you. So you got to drop and do 20 push-ups. It's easy to say drop and do 20, but when you get to 10 and 12, you sweating, people yelling at you, you know, telling you if you don't get to 20, you got to do 10 more. Sit-ups, you do so many sit-ups, your stomach is burning, and you run in people that don't finish the run within the required amount of time. You got to run again, so you pushing the person. It's easy to say, well, yeah, 20 push-ups is not fine, but all of the other things that go into it makes it a little bit harder, a little more testing that people can't. Believe it or not, people can't take that. They really cannot take that.
Yeah. Now, were you pretty athletic going in, or did you have
No,
to get built up inside the military?
I had to get built up. I could not touch my toes, but you know, you have to get you're going to get somewhat athletic because you're going to be uh, a working out, just be working out, and b the residual workouts. The residual workouts is what I've been talking about. You know, people messing up. No, I've messed up. I walked around toward we graduated boot camp already. Graduated boot camp already. We're waiting on our orders to go to A school, and I'm walking around with lock, my locker lock on my chest and my RDC look, and he just basically like, what in the hell you doing? And you don't walk around with your lock on your chest. I had to do push-ups. It just little mistakes, little dumb moves. You you will get in some type of shape because of the residual workout and the workout. And you have to learn how to swim. If you don't know how to swim, either you're gonna fail boot camp or you're gonna learn how to swim. I didn't know how to swim, so I had to learn how to swim. And just to give you another example, how women are not babied in the military. In the Navy, you have to jump off this 12-foot diving board, and there's a long line behind you. You can't go back. You get up there and you're scared. You know, and I've seen a female. She got up there and I don't want to do it. The guy said, "Okay." All of a sudden, he just pushed her. You know,
Wow.
you are not going to hold this line up. You're not. But the thing about it is, when I got up there, no, I jumped, but the experience of just going off, yeah, you scared, looking at you scared, but going down and you done it, and you think, what was I scared for? Yeah, but he straight up pushed him. He straight up pushed. He said, "No,
Now,
you, yeah, go ahead."
now, male and females are trained together. I thought they were trained separately.
Um, the divisions are separated, but some things that you will train together, like the when you have to learn how to swim, they don't separate the males and females because they're trying to teach everybody at the same time. The divisions are segregated, gender segregated. Maybe like one or two other things that the male or females interact together with, but for the most part, 90% is segregated. You know, you can't uh, walk in the ranks and say, "Hey, what's up?" No, you do that when you get back to your division. You doing some push-ups and sit-ups. You know, yeah, it's pretty strict on base because they're teaching you. They're teaching you how to be a military man or a military woman.
Okay. Now, where do you see like the future of like, I guess, black men in armed services? Do you think that black men should actually create their own PMCs, private military corporations?
The ones with experience and the ones that know the ins and out of what is needed, because like I said, there are paramilitaries that are contract with the government that are over in these foreign places that are also fighting the wars, but they have the skills, the specific skills that are needed. Not only do they have the specific skills, but they also continue to train. So either black men can form their own paramilitary and train, and there are conventions, there are you can go to and learn, and they can form their own, train, get government contracts. But you have to be in shape. You have to know the nowadays the technical aspects of the drones, and you have to know your weapons. You know, IEDs. You know, you have to know the ins and outs of being over in these foreign places, and people are fighting. Uh, Guerrilla warfare, basically. You know, you're susceptible, just like in the military, you're susceptible. You're susceptible in that. But yeah, black men can definitely form their own private military groups and contract with the government. Yeah, especially men that were in combat branches because they have a jump on the training. You know, they know about different, especially if they've been over to these foreign places. You know, you come out the military and you go straight into the private sector. You know, you don't miss a beat. So yeah, and also they can train other people um, to in military tactics.
Hmm. Yeah. So, do you think that? And I guess what I was referring to was more about like uh, a black man's own Blackwater.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's stopping you is to be honest, the only thing that are stopping, excuse me, and that's not to say that black men have not thought about that, but in general, only thing that are stopping black men is this notion that, oh, black people don't do that. This low mental thinking thought process that a lot of black men have. But there's nothing to stop you because you have the military training, and you continue to train and you continue to build your technical resume up. No, there's nothing to stop you.
Okay. Because I wonder with I feel like black men are on the outside of like private security, private military operations. That you see other groups of people who are not black who are engaging in and actually prospering. And you know, you got
Hmm.
Eric Prince, you know, the head of Academy or Blackwater. I think that's the new name for him, Academy. Talking about negotiating with Trump about putting Blackwater inside Afghanistan and pulling U.S. troops out.
Mm.
Now, I'm not in favor of sending black men into other countries that are not black just to be you know, occupying somebody else's land. But what I guess one of the points I'm trying to make is that there's opportunities in private military security and private military corporations. So,
Yeah, there are
and
opportunities.
I don't see it. I don't see us in the yeah. I don't see any of us doing that.
Hmm. Because to be honest, black men, we've all ran into black men that are not of the common thought. On they're are not tattooed up or are not thugs. You know, they are really into different things. And there are a lot of black men that are really into military concept and military training. They're out there. You know, I've met these men in the military. They're out there. Uh, it just need to be more of them in terms of hooking up with these guys, riding their coattails. You know, if you know these guys and you thought about being in a private uh, paramilitary, but you know a guy that like, man, such and such, you know, he was into guns, you know. I know he was into torpedoes. You know, he didn't mind. Let me ride his coattail because I've got training. You know, he's got the training. Maybe we can build something. They're out there. It's just the majority of us are have this mental thinking of, oh, black people don't do that. Oh, you can't do that. You know, the support system.
Yeah, that's interesting because when you say that you know black people don't do that, you know that's the sort of response, right? So what should black people be doing if that's the case, right? If we're not getting into these lucrative markets, if we're not you know participating in security and global security and even regional security for that matter, what should we be doing?
I
If
think
not
when
the
people
military, what should we?
I think when people say, "Oh, black people don't do that," I think they're subconsciously trying to keep black people in a, and these are other black people, not non-black people. I think what they're trying to do is keep black people in a specific box so we all can think monolithically. But what they don't understand is black people have different interests. Black people are vast in their talents and their interests, and they can still do everything that you say black people don't do, plus more, and still be black and still work for the advancement of black people. You know, black people can still skydive or go to the depths of the oceans by themselves in single man submarines and still work for the advancement of black people. I think that people that mainly say these things, they think, well, if black people do those things, go to the depths of the ocean, that somehow that they will cease to work for the advancement of black people. But black people can do paramilitary. Yes, you can. You absolutely can. You already have the training if you've been in the military. So, you know, not too many people are going to say no.
Right. You know, I kick myself every day because I didn't, you know, I had the well, I didn't have the opportunity, but I did sign up for the Air Force twice, and I never got a response back. I never understood why. My brother's a ex-military, so that influenced me to want to go. But recently I've been getting a lot of contacts from the Air Force, like, you know, we want to talk to you, and I'm like, really, at my age, do you really want me to go? You know,
uh,
I mean, I'm physically fit. I'm physically fit to go in. I have a vast amount of experience with IT and cybersecurity. So maybe that's what they're looking at. I've been having people look at my LinkedIn and say, hey, send me a message behind the scenes like, hey, I want to talk to you.
yeah, but the Air Force is not combat. It's not. It's not. It is not a combat branch. And in the military, we all make fun of the Air Force because we say, their their fitness is sitting down at the desk, and yeah, but the Air Force is smart. They have to be technological smart. So you fit right into you fit that mode. Instead of them saying, "Oh, you have to lift 200 pounds and have to be proficient in these type of weapons." No, you need to be proficient in knowing how to uh, negate technological attacks. That is the Air Force. That is exactly the Air Force. And people that go in the Air Force and that work these type of technological jobs in the Air Force, because the Air Force, you still have to fix on the planes, also the mechanics. But if you work on the technological side of the Air Force, you have a good when people say you a shoe in, you have a foot in the door when you go to other civilian jobs and you say that I worked in the Air Force and I worked on this type of technical job or this type of technical job. You have experience. You have at least 4 years experience.
Mhm. Well, I got into the end of the year to make up my mind. So
Yeah. Yeah, you go in like a contract. The military pays in terms of private contracts. You know, when you win, it sucks. The pay sucks, but private contracts, the military pay. You know, and that's not a secret.
yeah, but they want me for duty.
Oh, yeah. If you go to duty, you'll be
I don't.
going
I don't.
down to San Antonio, Texas.
Yeah.
Lackland
Now,
Air Force Base.
what's your take on Army National Guard?
Army National Guard. That is more of a domestic branch. They don't go overseas. Not particularly. I'm sure some do, but that's more of a serving active duty military on your own soil. So um, these hurricanes breaching these levees, they bring in the Army National Guard. So that's a good way of gaining military experience and organization and training without being subject to actual wars. Yeah.
But you don't think that? And correct me if I'm wrong. I think that I saw some stuff on YouTube about Army National Guard, Air National Guard, being sent over to Afghanistan for what reason I don't know. Maybe they were relieving somebody. It was kind of short rotation for 4 weeks or something like that. I did see it on YouTube, but so that's why I was curious. Like, why have all
Yeah.
these? We're never going to receive a land based attack in the United States, right? We're never going to see
Yeah.
Russian troops coming across Miami Beach or something like
Right.
that,
Right.
or across Niagara Falls. I don't foresee that happening in the next 100 years or so. But so you have all this military personnel on a National Guard basis, but you really can't use the National Guard or military on civilians. So that's a police matter. That's a local police matter, state
Hmm.
police matter, and in your national agencies like your ATF and FBI and CIA, your alphabet boys.
Hmm.
So you have all this military personnel just sitting around, just basically doing nothing,
Nothing.
idle, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And you'd be surprised with the national. Now, if, in terms of the National Guard that you spoke about, they may have, when you go in, they may have signed up for a specific type of rating that they are subject to go overseas, because we've heard months ago how America doesn't have to lower their standards in picking people to join the military. It's not, the pool has shrunken people to pick to go to the military, so they may have offset that by, when people join National Guard, say, hey, you go to this rating, we can pull you to go overseas. That may be it, but you'd be surprised. It's like the reserves. They say, hey, 2 weeks out the year you'll be training, but the other 52 weeks, you working your job, going to school, sitting down doing nothing, because wars doesn't pop off every 10 years. There's a lot of lag time in between if you're needed. A lot of lag time.
Hmm.
And having to stay in the military cost a lot of money.
Yeah, you got to feed all those people. How
Yeah.
many guys out there?
Supply chain line, maintaining your boats, upgrading your fleet every so often, because uh, another superpower has greater capabilities than you, so you have to upgrade yours, refueling your submarines, and uh, different things. Having to stay in the military costs a lot of money.
Yeah, I always thought that black men who come back from the military, doing their service or whatever, they should actually create their own little boot camps in urban areas for these predominantly black areas and black and brown areas, I should say too,
Hmm.
as a way to transfer some of that knowledge that they have, or is there some kind of NDA that is signed that says that you can't you can't talk to
Oh no.
anybody once you leave out of here?
Yeah, I mean, like on a submarine, there's certain things you can't say in public, but I don't know the extent of it. It's been so long, but no, when you get out, you out. Here go your papers, and a lot of people do. If they were fit in the military, they go and open up a fitness club, and they in actuality, there are black men that actually go back to the area they're from and want to straighten things up. It is not unheard of. They're out there. It's just the mentality of black people that actually fight back against that. Not physically, but say, oh, that's not gonna go nowhere. Oh man, he crazy. Why don't he just get a good job? Things like that. Things like that with younger black men here, it debilitates their desire to be the best and do the best they can. Because if you continue to hear to get a good job thing, or that's not gonna survive. So you hear that more. You hear those words more than, yeah, keep doing it. I'm interested. I would love to hear or see how it survives or succeeds. You rarely hear that.
Hmm. Yeah, because a lot of people, in social media and especially YouTube, always talk about, uh, we need more black men in the military, and then when they get out, nobody really supports them, you
Hmm.
know. But then when these guys come back to the hood and they try to be volunteer mentors and stuff like that, people say, "Oh, you a sellout for joining the military," and this, and that. So you get it both ways, you get the you get the mistreatment when you're in the military, uh, because of racial differences, and then when you come home back to people who look just like you, you get a resentment for actually serving your country, and it's like, can the black man get a fair shake?
Right. And I would say, um, if these black men do choose to join the military, like my cousins, I say, if you join the military, go here. Um, Look at the jobs that these militaries offer and say, well, you go to job, go to this. If you do go to the Air Force, do these type of jobs, aim for these type of jobs, negotiate your contract. If you do go to the Navy, aim for this, negotiate your contract to get stationed here. Because if you don't in the Air Force, you get stationed in Idaho and you will hate it. You might love your job, but you may hate where you're at because the Air Force is in off places. So I would say instead of telling these people just go to the military. Well, talk to someone that been in the military, that have the experience, that have that 4 years experience of learning the ins and outs, and if they had to do it over again, they would do this. And the men that say, "Well, I wish someone would have told me." Tell these young men that want to go to the military, "Hey, okay, you want to go to the Navy? All right, um, study a little bit of this particular subject. That way, you can go in this field. And once you get done with that 4 years, you come back to the civilian life just in time to be ready for these type of jobs."
Hmm.
That's more of a structured plan right there. And these young people can't fathom 4 years, 4 or 5 years down the line. We've all been young, and thinking 4 or 5 years down the line is not as easy of thinking 4 or 5 years down the line now that we're older. It's easy now. But when we're younger, it's like, wow, that's a light year away. But it's not. It's easy. And you have people that have um I got it when I signed up for the military, I received a signing bonus. I received a $5,000 signing bonus because I qualified for submarines based on my tests. Um, they
Oh,
say, you right, and you say, like when people say, "Oh, you got a $5,000 signing bonus." I know people that got $12,000 signing bonuses, $50,000 signing bonus because they qualify for the nuclear um for to go to school to learn about nuclear technology, to be stationed on nuclear submarines, or to work on the nuclear reactors. Granted, that school is long and it's tantamount to MIT courses, but when you finish it, you have those that skill, and you have that 4, 5, or 6 year experience working on nuclear reactors plus the signing bonus. So when you come out, you have that military experience and working on nuclear reactors. And you go to a job. So yeah, I have experience working with nuclear uh, technology. From where? Oh, the Navy. Really? It's like wow. Plus you got the credentials. Yeah, people get these signing bonuses, man. Granted the taxes will hit you, but I've absolutely known people to get 12,000, 25, $50,000 signing bonuses because you talk about it.
hmm. So do you? I guess. I guess what I'm trying to think of is that there could be an opportunity to create a ROTC program in the hood, so to speak,
Hmm.
like an after school program or summer program for ROTC, and have young black males join in between ages 12 and or 11 or 12 and 17, and well, I shouldn't say 17 because 17 you start going in, but 12 to 16. And how, do you envision something like that happening?
Yes, that's totally possible because contrary to popular belief, I know a lot of people talk about black women, blah blah blah, but a lot of black women want the best for their sons. It's just that they don't know how to be a man and know the ins and outs to be a man, so they just tell them things that they think of, but they really do want the best for their sons. And you have this program that is not tied to the school's ROTC program, but uh, black men getting together with military experience and training these young black men. These mothers will absolutely put their children in this after school program because A, you're training them for a future military. possible career, even if it's just 4 years. and- But going in, they have a breadth, a wealth of knowledge that is over and above. That's tantamount to people that are coming out. They're coming in with the same amount of knowledge of people that are coming out after 4 or 5 years, and also they can train them to go to different areas of jobs in the military. Say, okay, this group, you all want to be police. Oh, okay, so this guy was in the Army MP, or this guy was in the Navy MA. They know what to do to train you to get to that point, to be a MA in the military. Or this guy was worked as such and such in the military, so he know what to do already. So you can tailor the curriculum to that. But it's totally possible, absolutely.
Hmm. Yeah, I think a nonprofit program like that should be established in predominantly black areas. For fatherless homes. That would
Hmm.
actually be a game changer. Do you think that that would actually help with the fatherlessness in black males? And
Yes, because I know we talk about the Afro black communities, but not only will mothers want to put their sons in there, but these young black men will gravitate to that themselves also, because it only takes one person to say, "Yeah, I go to this after school," and they say, "Well, isn't that the school ROCC?" Like, no, this is something we do on the side. And we do this here, and you're like, "Oh, let me go check this out." And you're like, man, this they crave that, especially if it's men there that are teaching them how to be a man, how to do this, how to do that, to plan for this. A lot of young black men absolutely crave that, and you will get other you also get females there that want to be around that type of activity. Young women that want to be around that type of activity, because I'm from Chicago. It's nothing but black people in the South Side, so I see it. It's just that I know it's there. It's just the there's not enough people to steer these young people in the right direction. It's more bad that's going on. Bad steering. It's more bad steering that's going on than good steering.
but do you think that female participation in something like this would be beneficial for young black boys? I mean, is that
Well,
something that?
they don't have to change. Well, they don't have to train together, because you have um, female, uh, female military also. They don't have to train together. They can train separately. It could be a rite of passage program where they train separately. And that's totally fine, because the women that went in boot camp, they didn't train with a man. They trained with other women. So
Mhm.
to them, they're out. They could be absolutely fine training the women by themselves. They don't, because it's private. They don't have to train together. You can set your own curriculum.
Right, right. And um, this kind of thing would actually, I guess you can probably get some kind of, you would have to have neighborhood participation in something like this,
Hmm.
because a lot of black mothers like to put their sons into football and basketball
Yeah.
because it's usually cheaper. You just need a pair of sneakers and some shorts and you're good. But when it
Hmm.
comes to football, you're spending all these lucrative amounts of money for a sport that has, one in 600th chance that you're going to get into the league anyways.
Right.
Um, and if you break your leg, you're kind of
You're done for.
out of your career's over. Your career's over, right? So
Mhm.
I wonder if the same amount of money that they're willing to put into football, they'd be willing to put into an ROTC program.
Yeah, because it could be if let's say I have this private ROTC program and I'm training young kids and I'll talk to the mothers and I tell the mothers like, yeah, you get a 4-year college degree. You don't have to be at this high level school to get in debt. He can go to 2-year university, 2-year community college. Then go to the local college. As long as you get that college degree, he can go in as a lieutenant, an officer, and we can train him the on what they would train him in officer school. But this currently right now, this is the salary of officer. You do 20 years, you get the issue. We have some people that are officers that can train him to doing that. That can guide him what classes to take and also help him with his homework. No, we have that personnel to do that. And she may think like, really, how much it costs? Well, a monthly fee of such and such. Sure, a lot of people work that in their schedule. Only the really, I don't say ratchets that would have a problem with that, but a lot of women would want that for their sons. And now your son is in this after school program. There may be other kids in that same school that's in the same program, and they hang together and they sharpen each other's swords. And they say, "Well, what you want to do?" "Well, no, I want to do this IT program in the Air Force." "Oh yeah, I want to be a police officer." "Okay." Uh, See, with the after school program could be 2 to 3 hours, depending on what time they get out of school. And so it could be 2 to 3 hours. So now they're not on the streets. They're not susceptible to bad influences. And even if they don't go to the military, even
Mhm.
they can be steered to go to college and get degrees in specific specific degrees that will then they know they'll have a job after they graduate. And in the private ROTC, these men that have been in the military can train them on how to plan your life, plan the next 5 years, plan maybe the next 10 years. How to study, how to uh, oh, this is a crucial skill that a lot of black men don't have. Train them on conflict resolution. Train them how to keep their emotions intact. Train them how to be more of a stoic person on not letting things get to them and have them fly off the wheel. Train them on how to be men. Look at these other men, and they'll idol themselves after these other men. Oh wow, he dressed nice. Oh wow, he come every day with a shirt and tie. Not wrinkled, pressed. Man, he smell good. I want to be like that. So they're gonna be like that because they're around with other men, not just one man, but a multiple other men, and then their peers. They may see their peers stepping their game up, and they say, "Well, I don't want to be left behind. Let me not dirty my shoes up, so much, so easily." So yeah,
It forces everybody to step their game up.
exactly, yeah,
So now, and I guess with Africans coming to coming to America for looking for opportunities, do you foresee black men who have military experience being beneficial to Africa, to the continent?
yeah, absolutely, because Africa is slated to be a powerful continent in different
Mhm.
African countries, especially Nigeria. Nigeria is slated to have close to 300 million people in that one country by 2040. By 2040. So, you have resources, you have oil, you're going to need a military. So instead of contracting with non-black people on training your military, Hey, you have millions, not just African American, but you have other black diasporans out there that have military training. Millions of us out there that have military training. Hey, contract with us. A lot of us have a hankering to come to quote unquote come back home anyway. So it's like a win-win situation. I saw a video where a lot of people don't know, but a lot of black diasporans, specifically African Americans, 'cause that's what we know about. They're in Africa, training people in different areas. It doesn't have to be Pacific military, but different areas. Just coming back home and coming back to Africa, coming back home and just doing stuff, helping the continent out any way they can. But they're not in on saying like, yeah, I'm doing this. They're just there, and when you hear about it, you say, really, yeah, yeah. But the private ROTC thing is something that can really help tamp down the violence in these inner city black communities. It can really help. It can. I'm not saying it's going to stop it 100%, but it can really put a dent in it. It can put a dent in it. Am I still alive?
You sure are.
Oh,
I just
okay.
had to get some water, but
Yeah.
yeah. So in relation to that point of black men going to Africa who come from under the military, you have something that emerged over 10 years ago, something called AFRICOM,
Hmm.
African Command. The United States has a new military watchdog over the African continent, based out of Stuttgart, Germany. What's your impressions of the United States AFRICOM mission in Africa on the continent?
Well, America is doing what America should do. America's superpower. They want to hold that. That's what any superpower, any powerful empire will do. America is doing this job. Instead of us saying, "Oh, excuse me," instead of us saying, "Oh, America is doing this, they're so bad." No, America is doing what it's supposed to do. America's on point. It's up to you to get on point and build up your people and your ancestral home. It's up to you to get to that level because this is what empires do. They know what to do. It's up to you to say, okay. So uh, instead of you saying, oh, we had the first four presidents of America were black, brother. America hiding this. No, America's doing what it's supposed to do. Are you doing what you're supposed to do? That's how you should need to be thinking. The I forgot the saying. The winner writes the story. You don't hear the story from the loser. So yeah.
Sorry, I was on mute. I was talking and didn't even realize that.
Oh, no.
This whole AFRICOM thing seems to be recolonization of Africa through military resources
Hmm.
to confront to confront um, other nations that are on the continent, namely China. What's your take on China being in Africa and AFRICOM actually being there and the possibilities that come from that?
Now everyone knows the continent of Africa is resource rich. Everyone knows that, and resources drives economies, drives the world. China knows this. China's not dumb. America's not dumb. These empires are not dumb. They know, okay, China, we have limited resources. Let's go somewhere that has resources and offers something that they need in order for us to get the resources. That's what you do. And because you want to empower your country, build your nation up, build your kingdom up, build your empire up. America has been in power for a very long time. They see China testing their power, and they see China in Africa, and they see China taking a different approach in Africa than what they normally do. So what they're doing is they could be, I don't know specifically. I don't know. I'm not in the war room um, looking at the plans, but they could be doubling down on what they normally do, spying and seeing what's going on, and at the same time doing what China's doing in Africa, saying, "Well, yeah, we'll help you build bridges and buildings and everything," but all along they are protecting their empire. Again, that's what these countries are supposed to do. And my take all along has been, I know people don't come into another country and build universities and hospitals and all these other things just out of the benevolence of their heart. They're there for a reason. Understand, find out why they're there, and you do trade. Trade is good. You do trade, but the type of trade you do, make sure they don't take over your own land. Yeah, you can do. Okay, you want some cobalt? Okay, we'll sell you X amount of tons of cobalt, but you need to train our people on how to build this. You know, that's the type of trade I hope African leaders are doing instead of, yeah, you can come on in and take the cobalt. Yeah, we're trading. Yeah, cool. No, you know, that's not trade. That's letting people take over your house.
Right. That's colonialism through
Exactly.
resources. So the reason why I bring up AFRICOM is because you had a black man that was killed in 2017, late 2017. I believe he was a Green Beret
Mm,
and killed in Niger
mm,
through a training mission, if I remember correctly. And so you have black men coming out of U.S. military training in Africa under AFRICOM's watch and dying, in this I guess what we considered unnecessary grounds, right? It wasn't like he was defending U.S. interests or he was he was doing something in the best interest of Africa. It was We don't really
yeah.
know because the United States government won't actually spread this information. But we're starting to see this now trickle out of control. There's supposedly 3,500 U.S. military personnel over on the continent.
Yeah. Now, first of all, I want to say hello. How you doing, MOT? I know he's going to come in here and kick some big knowledge to reply what you. I want to reply what you said. Now, hand the microphone to him. I think we've mentioned before on this channel. If not, but if people don't know, the U.S. is not going to send over a large amount of Black Americans to Africa to train because they know they're not dumb. These people are not dumb. They may be assholes, but they're not dumb. They know if you send a large amount of Black Americans over to Africa, they will turn on you. A lot of Black Americans not going to go to Africa and start killing people that look like them, and that's with any people. If they subjugated China and send Chinese over there to subjugate Chinese, there's going to be a point where they're going to turn on you. So they're not dumb. So they're only sending a small amount of Black Americans over there to train that. I remember that case in Niger. I specifically don't know what happened, but I do remember. I do remember hearing that. So I'll pass the mic to MOT. How you doing today, MOT?
Hey, what's going on,
What's
man?
going on, brother?
All right.
Nothing much.
Now
I mean, with this,
you were.
go ahead.
No, I was just gonna ask. Did you hear the question?
No. Repeat the question. That's what I was about to ask.
Um, with the experience that black men have coming out of the military in the United States, how can they contribute to Africa in terms of transferring their military skill sets into private military corporations?
Ooh, PMCs. Ooh,
Correct.
I mean, there's a lot of people who do that already, with, training and all of that kind of stuff. Of course, they get brought up on
Mhm.
charges if those people were to go out and, commit some type of international crime, which you never hear about, even though it does happen a lot more than people dare to believe. But I just think it's a bad idea. I mean, if you're like building stuff, building infrastructure, sure. Now, if you're talking
Mhm.
about this kind of Blackwater situation, which is what
Mhm.
is going to kind of ratchet up very sharply because you can't go over there with a lumbering army, but you can go train locally the people over there. So that's just what's going to happen, and I think it's a bad idea for us not to be on the forefront like China. I mean, America used to do this stuff in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, with the building schools and all that kind of stuff. And then once the schools are built, you get to put your bases over, right? Because you have such a good track record. But us in America, we're not even doing any of that. It's
Mhm.
just it's just not a good strategy. And I mean, we used to do this stuff as a country. I mean, maybe just because it's Africa, but I don't know how come the U.S. isn't on the forefront, like clearly trying to expand on a level that China is. Like, why would they let all them resources go to waste unless there's some other thing at play here? I mean, but it just doesn't seem all that strategic the way we are going about it. That's all I got to say.
Mhm. Right, and then that's an interesting point because the lack of infrastructure development by the United States, but the giving away of military resources into Africa through training and logistics. They built the base in Ghana, but Ghana said, "Nah, we don't really want you on our soil." So basically, now you have this unutilized military base that's just sitting there by the United States. Um, Money wasted again. Where do black men capitalize on these failures of um, foreign policy that the United States hasn't followed up on as a government? Where can black men fall into that perspective?
I mean, you have to go over there as a civilian. And there's a difference between going over there as a civilian and going over there as a CIA asset trying to do so.
Mhm.
So there's a specific way that they move. And an American guy who goes over there, they know. Trust me, they know. It's just that we as civilians have to bring them over here on kind of like a foreign exchange student type of program and then get back over there. Or be able to explain the quote unquote, I don't like this way of doing it, but there's ways that some pastors have been doing it. Have been trying to expand the concept of the black church over there. And I don't like that model because the black church doesn't work here all that well. So to be trying to expand something over there is real question. But you have to do it as a civilian. You can't go over there. I mean, you have to build a relationship. And this is something that we're just now starting to think about, not even do, just to think about. And these type of relationships take 10 and 20 years to build, but in 10 to 20 years, man, there ain't no telling what that place will look like. So
Right.
I guess as fast as we need to move, that it's not possible within this small period of time. I mean, the only thing you can do is find people over here in the United States and then connect with them and then go back because all these African countries, man, they have a boatload of corruption that comes with it. Even with simple signing of paperwork, there's a lot of corruption, man. And I've been screwed too many times. My brother's been screwed too many times. Just trying to deal with people over there and not having people on the ground, it could be a real mess real fast. Like I said, the relationships aren't built, and that stuff takes a while to build. You already got like China going over there doing the stuff that we should have been doing, 40 years ago. So I'm not sure if there's an overnight fix for it. I guess we can just get started, have small people go over there and build relationships, but something that's going to be quick is damn near impossible.
And I guess I like your point that from a civilian perspective, that's not really possible to operate like a state government, but you could create your own nonprofit organization like the Hudson Institute or Rand Corporation, and actually be more be more driven on policy rather than uh, pulling out an AK-47 and or a M4 rifle and telling them to get down on the ground and do what we tell you to do.
Another thing is they have a lot of nonprofits over there. They're not over there for good reasons,
NGOs.
but they're there. Yeah.
NGOs, yeah.
And yeah, but they're very obvious and real upfront about trying to check for resources and surveying in certain places, especially when they tell them not to. It's and this is how they look at all foreigners, man, all of them, because nobody showed up 20, 25 years ago when they need help. Now you got all these different nationalities of people over there claiming that they quote unquote want to help. Don't look good.
Yeah, I mean, and this whole discussion is really about the state of black men in the military, coming out of the military, transferring into civilian life, and what are they learning from their experience and what they're bringing back into the normal world, so to speak. Have you been in the military, MLT?
Yeah. Like when
What
I
branch?
got Air Force. Like
Okay.
like me, like once I got out of the military, because I was a cop in the military, and you have, and once you get out, you don't know what you're worth or who you're worth it to, because there's not really any. Because a cop, you be a cop in there, be a cop on the outside. Cop in the military, I guess you could be private security. I mean, it was right after 9/11. A whole bunch of people were scared shitless, so it was a good industry to be in right after 9/11. I got out right after 9/11. But for a lot of people in career fields, like if you're not in something that you can basically connect to the outside, hey man, it's kind of like you're starting all the way over.
Yeah, I agree. There's no big book of military civilian transition. It's not there. You just, once you get your walking papers, you
Talk
are,
is like 3 days, man. Half is 3 days. They don't really go
say what?
over anything like taps.
Oh
Once
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah,
get
yeah,
out, like that 3 day quote unquote transition.
yeah. They don't.
Yeah,
It's out.
it's bad, man. But
Yeah.
I guess if you can have a nonprofit organization to like catch those people and really put them to work doing kind of governmental things, because these skills are needed in a civilian aspect all
Hmm.
over the country and mostly in government. Like,
Yeah.
of course, like, okay, the career field that you was in, let's say, well, nothing that has to do with submarines or any kind of that stuff. You have to go back in as a civilian and all that. I'm just talking about just bare bone skills like computer skills, the medical field, construction, if there's a career field in the other branches. And Air Force was called civil engineering, which they completely civilianized and destroyed. But mechanics, the motor pool, that kind of stuff. There should be at least a nonprofit that could be able to capture these people and put them immediately back to work.
Hmm.
But most of these people fall out, and then they're not used to moving around to jobs or whatever. Because when you get to move from one place to another, there's usually in the Air Force it was called TMO, trans transition moving organization. So they come and pick up your stuff and they take it somewhere. But on the outside, nobody really gives a shit about moving your stuff from one end of the country to the next for a job.
Yeah,
Nobody.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of like, your money is never really right while you in the military anyway.
Sure, it's not. And the pay and the pay isn't excellent at all.
No,
And just to piggyback on what you're saying, when you go to one, like when you transition to home bases, the military will, you know, got your back. But in the civilian world, okay, if you want a job, we kind of Las Vegas, you start next week Monday. You got to find a way to get out there. You got to call moving people, uh, transport your car, find an apartment, and all that. So, and now you come out the military with a couple $1,000 in your bank account, and that move just zaps everything. You know,
and think about
especially
it.
if you
Those
go ahead.
sponsors whose job
Huh.
is to make sure that you come in and find a place to stay and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing like that for them to do.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely nothing like that. So most people, that's why they end up finding the first job available and just staying there because that's what they're so used to. They're not, the money's never right, and it's just a mess. But those skills are transferable. It's just that all that money that the government spent, they kind of don't give a damn about it once you do leave. And it's crazy that they would put all that money into a person and then not really care about what they do once they do get out. It's outrageous. You know?
Yeah, and
Because
it's
if you
hard
don't
to
do-
find your. It's also hard to find. It's also hard to find what benefits you're qualified for. Again, there's
oh, they make it so hard. They make it hard
uh,
on purpose.
extremely hard, and because like again, there's no big book of military benefits that you can qualify for. There's no office you can go to. Yeah, come on in, and we'll run your military experience and see what you're qualified for. Now, most of the things you find out by talking to other military personnel.
Or trial and error.
Right. And
I mean,
then
because
it could be
I work
years
with
down the road and you find out, man, I qualify for this. Yeah.
that's why it's best to just get turned down, get yourself an attorney, so that way you can get your benefits. They'll take damn near all the money of the time period that you're waiting, but that's the way that you can get the most benefits that you're supposed to. And even some benefits that you're not supposed to. But
Wow.
trusting the VA to really just handle you like a decent dude, you are out of your
No.
damn mind. I used to work for the VA. And trust me, let me tell you, it is ran like a business. Now, how people are trying to, juke you on benefits while you're getting out of
Yeah.
the military and don't tell you shit. They do the same. The people sitting around in a group with your open medical file trying to figure out what they can get away with. And it's especially bad in the South because they're already underfunded. They already don't want to give away no benefits whatsoever. And then you got these people with their quote unquote approach to government trying to figure out whether people who actually need those benefits, whether they actually deserve
Hmm.
it. And you can't go through that process too many times.
Right. Right. Right.
It,
And
it's
it's even something simple as dentists. A lot of military personnel just don't go to regular checkup for the dentist. Like simple stuff like that. That these benefits you can go to the VA dentist and just check your teeth. They don't do that. It's a
dude. Listen,
major disconnect.
dude in Colorado, uh, at the VA, there is a dentist office in the actual building that the VA is renting. Don't you know that we can't go down there and go get help? Period. Like you have to walk past the dentist and the eye doctor to go to the actual quote unquote hospital, but you can't get any help from the dentist. And this dude was like, "Man, dude, I would do anything to take military people." That's like, nope, no dental services whatsoever. it's outrageous.
Now, MOT, my question to you is it's something I already asked to Lionel, but what's your take on a non-profit ROTC program in predominantly black neighborhoods where there's a lot of fatherless homes? Do you think that would be have an impact on the community and black boys?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I don't like because I was raised in Mississippi, man. We were farmers. I came from a farmer community. Like, dude, there's no telling what the hell would have happened if I would have stayed there another year and not went to the military. Like, I walked right off the stage with my high school diploma straight onto a plane to Lackland Airport. Like, I wasn't waiting not a second on getting the hell up out of that place. But, dude, I think that everybody in the country needs to go through some type of basic training. And I'm talking about most summers to know how to do something. Because, you can say what you want about the experience. The needing to have responsibility for your actual surroundings, which they kind of hold you to and trying to drill you into, is something that you just really don't get in another place. And the structure that the military provides, which helped me a lot, is also something that you probably wouldn't get depending on what your household makeup is like. My dad was actually Army and my mom took care of my grandmother. So, I kind of had some of that kind of upbringing, but that's nothing compared to just after the basic training and experience, the amount of responsibility that I felt, the weight of kind of everything around me. I think it should be pretty good and mandatory for people like that. And it should be something that should happen anyway. I mean, like in Germany, they go through something like that. In Italy, they go through something like that. Before
Yeah,
they even graduate school. And it's just that we can get so much more out of it by just doing something like that. So I think it's a good idea. I
yeah.
don't see how it will.
I know in Nigeria they got mandatory basic training, and you serve the country in terms of you may not go to the military, but you may go to a distant, not like a village to teach children. So yeah,
Because our system
So
seems to
so
be
you're
hell
saying
bent. Okay, go ahead.
no? I was just gonna say. So you're saying basically that this is a idea that can actually be put into action that brothers should be working on.
Quicker, quicker than anything else.
yeah,
Far
I
quicker.
agree with that because the and especially in Chicago, the want is there from the young black men. The want is there. The the secret craving is there. You know, a lot of young black men want to learn how to be a man, want the right responsibility, want to not go through life talking about, yeah, man, I should be on this block for 40 years, man. No, they don't want that. It's just that, like I said earlier, it's a lot of wrong steering and not enough good steering.
Like most of them kids are out there because they don't see the future. They
Mhm.
can't see it. So they give up, and that's the kind of stuff that they turn to. And
And
it's horrible.
so it. I was talking about this with Lionel before you got on, but you see a lot of black mothers put their hard-earned money into, or somebody else's hard-earned money for that matter, into football equipment programs. This
Yeah,
very
basketball camp,
expensive,
stupid shit like that. Yeah.
and the return on investment may not even be there because if he breaks his leg, his career's over, right? Would you suggest that they put this money into a ROTC summer program for their sons?
Yeah. I think it should be from a nonprofit kind of standpoint. So that way the school can't get into that money and try to spend it on other stuff that it don't need to be spent on.
Right.
That's why I agree with the nonprofit kind of idea, because nonprofits are funded by the federal government, and the educational system is funded by the tax revenue that is in the area, which I think is a violation of equal protection, even be doing stuff like that. Like in Germany, everybody got good schools. There ain't no damn bad schools. Everybody got good schools.
I was telling Mike that even if these kids don't go to the military, they have the training on how to have the structure in life through these summer programs, learning from ex-military men on how to be men or what it means to be a man, and having good responsibility and knowing how to handle that and how to curtail their feelings and conflict not revolution, resolution. So even though they don't go to the military, they have these skills by the time they 21. By the time they graduate high school.
I mean, because it would be nothing for like an extra week after school is over to just focus and concentrate on this most
Hmm.
years that you're in, from 7 and 8 to like, 9th, 10th, 11th, because 12th, you're going off and doing whatever after school. I mean, there is nothing wrong with doing this. And let me give you an example of what they're actually doing in my district when I'm from in Mississippi. So what they're doing now is they're doing not just pre-K for half a year, they're doing pre-K and kindergarten for like the whole entire school year now.
Mm.
And they started this 3 years ago. It was a committee who came together. They looked at, because you have people from like Sweden and South Korea, like come over to the United States. I'm like, look, we need to go to the people who have the best education in the world and figure out what they're doing right. But that way we can at least take some of the stuff that they're doing and kind of bring it to the United States. And so, I paid for the flight for people to come over or whatever. So what they came up with, well, you need to have, and it's just a small idea, like to have pre-K, like the whole school day, like everybody else, and have it year round. The teachers like it because they got paid, and they get to be there for a longer stretch of time in the period of year. So now we're like 4 years into the future, and now they're seeing kids are way more engaged when they come into a classroom with reading and math and all that kind of stuff, which is going to net even further returns when we're coming into like the fourth and fifth grade. But right now we're just looking at you know first grade, right?
Hmm.
Where they are in the fourth grade right now. So and they're just starting to do things that are different. But like everything else, it's kind of like Subway. They use the same ingredients, they just call it something else. Even though you use the same amount of time, you do the
$5
same.
foot long.
Yeah, but okay.
Yeah.
The sweet onion
What,
teriyaki,
what,
you use the sauce. Like, come on.
yeah. So, at what age would you start this ROTC program for Black boys? 12, 13?
Earlier than that.
Oh, no, 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 no. I think you should start it round about. All right, so I think you should start it really early, man. Like spend an hour on it.
How about
Like
like
I would,
5 or 6 years old? That's about the same age
yeah,
that
5 or 6 years old. Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
about the
yeah.
same age that most military, not military, martial arts places will let kids in to learn martial arts. It's
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
5 or 6.
And also that's the same age where kids tend to uh wander off, because they ain't no father at home and they starting to, hang out with the bad crowd around that age.
Because if you give kids an opportunity to talk about their pain and their hurt and their problems, it don't even get a chance to turn destructive. It don't even get a chance to. If you already addressing it way earlier, then the criminal justice system get their hands on people and all they want to do is lock people up. So if you are addressing it way earlier, these people can process these feelings and move on to other things and be an upstanding, upright kind of individual. Because, kind of like in a group, what do you call it? Therapy session, there's a lot of different people who come up with a lot of different issues. But all the issues that are brought up in a kind of a group therapy type of situation, it helps everybody in whole and in total because
Mhm.
everybody sees it from everybody else's perspective. And I see it. And I think doing something like that with 4 and 5 year olds are great. So that way they can be better prepared than most of the people who are not in the program to focus on what they need to focus on and all that stuff. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
So how long would that last for? Would it last for a summer? Would it be an after school program? Would it be um
You can have it
what's the
structured
frequency
the
of
way
that?
it can be for an hour because if you look at like I attend some group therapy discussions when I be at the VA when I'm in town, and it lasts an hour. I mean, these are for grown ass adults who have a whole hell of a lot of problems. So for kids, it can be something that's connected to their studies that talk about real life issues. So that way they're able to handle this stuff and write this stuff down and actually be honest and talk about it. So yeah, like an
Me,
hour, 2, 3 times a week.
me, I would do it all, both after school and summer, because I'm coming from the standpoint of negative influences don't stop. Uh,
Oh, and especially during the summer, they heighten.
right, yeah. So
You don't
yeah,
have
yeah. So not to say, even though it's all year round, not to say you'll be in this therapy group for 2, 3 hours. That's not realistic because these kids' attention spans are not that strong. Yeah, you'll have a therapy, but then after that, have them going to something else. And I'm not talking about no arts and crafts. I'm talking about how to these men teaching them how to do this, how to do that, how to change a tire. Something like that. Something that they have a skill that say, "Well, I changed the tire. That's pretty cool, man." Something, something like that. Something that'll catch their attention, that'll keep them away from the negative.
So
and
in
there's so many
ROTC,
people to do
what
that.
in ROTC at what point do they start getting into physical activities like I guess training, things like that, physical training, PT, things like that. At what age do they start really getting involved in all that in all those activities?
Me,
Uh,
yeah, blah, blah. You going MOT?
um, in the school district where we're at, it starts in 7th grade and you go all the way to 12th grade for ROTC. I mean, and I don't think they even do like the PT portion of it because they have classes with normal people. They're just dressed in their ROTC PC stuff, and most of their classes for all the way ROTC are like the afternoon classes. It's kind of dedicated to what they really need to be doing for the ROTC. But everything else is like normal classes. So you have to have a gym and a health class. You have to have that every single year. So yeah, so it starts in kind of like the 7th grade and it goes to the 12th grade, but it's kind of structured so that way they have their regular and normal classes and then they concentrate on the military stuff.
Yeah, I would agree. Not too early. Even though you catch them early, you have that sense of graduation of graduating into this sense of accomplishment. Now, even though you may catch them at 10 or 9, in a few years, hey man, in a few years, I'm going to be able to do that. That sense of accomplishments and graduating into something that uh rites of path that's like a rites of passage type of situation.
But it's better to spend money on that than to spend money on somebody sitting in a jail cell because of a certain percentage of people who just fall all the way out of the system and program. Like,
Mhm.
like the amount of money that they can spend anyway on making sure that they don't have to spend the money way later on when it's far more expensive. It's just a boon for everyone. It's just that education is looked at very differently. Like education is some sort of a punishment in our country because of the way it's funded. It's funded like you don't care about it. And that's how come it looks the way it looks. Because there is no true equal protection when it comes to education. It's all based on this goofy tax revenue scheme, I think. Which the state should be and the federal government should be picking up the tab to make it kind of equal. It always gets challenged every 4 or 5 years or so about whether or not it's equal protection related. But the conservatives on the Supreme Court want to keep it the way that it
Now, would you send them to a camp in the summer away from their home, or would you let them stay home and then take them on an hourly basis during the summer months?
I'm not even saying taking them away from their home. It could just be a different part of the city, and they go
Right.
home on the week. Like, there's no reason that you would need to take them to like another city. It's just that you just have to take them out of that environment to where they're home at. Like, if they go back home every day, you're not really doing anything. But if they only go back home on the actual weekend, you can have a lot more impact because you have them for quote unquote 24 hours a day,
Yeah,
at
yeah.
least 5 or 6 days a week.
And I understand what you're saying because I was young. I went to a camp for like a couple weeks, and it made a difference. Because when I came back home, people were still doing the same old thing. And but at the camp, I met new people. And yeah, so yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with what you said.
I mean, because it don't even cost that much to do what? House kids? It don't cost that much. Couple big screen TVs, couple games, video games, and still that type of structure. Like, this is what they do in other countries for free. Like, we could easily do that here in the United States. Quite easily. Probably through a nonprofit. Actually, I'm gonna start looking into doing something like that. Because this is needed
Absolutely.
for these kids out here, man. Because if you can drop that percentage down, I'm talking about teenage pregnancy, I'm talking about all that kind of stuff. Everybody wins in the end, man. Everybody
Yeah,
wins in it. Just by spending a little bit of money strategically to stop a whole lot of bad things from potentially happening. Yeah, I
And I
agree.
think there's a sense of pride in yeah, I think there's a sense of pride of being wearing that uniform. I see brothers just their shoulders are straight, their chin is up high. They just feel proud about themselves when they walk into the barbershop with their uniform on and their dusty boots and you know
try wearing. I went in the Marines, but I give it to the Marines. That uniform, you go anywhere with that uniform, you get instant respect, instant, because that uniform is on point, and people understand. Okay, this guy in the Marines, he earned that. It's instant respect.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like in the Air Force. When you're a cop, you have to wear berets as cops because you protect nuclear weapons, so they consider you some type of special force. Man, the type of bullshit they put you through to wear that beret, trust me, you went through a lot to wear that thing. Trust me, man. They don't
Hmm.
play games with you being a slouch or any of that kind of stuff. I just think that we don't give kids anything to work towards except for the grade on an arbitrary test to kind of check and see where they are. Like most of the best
Yeah.
education in the world, they don't do grades. They do about kids' proficiencies to do simple things. They're turning to complex things. In the United States, we try to teach so that way they can pass some whatever state test that don't mean shit. Yeah, I mean, reading the comprehension is good. That's always good, but there's a different way we can do it. I mean, we
Yeah.
just have to modernize our education.
Different ways of learning.
We need to start by kicking most of the people in there who just there for a check out of the educational system while reforming. So there's a lot of people who do not deserve to be around anybody's child teaching them.
And I guess my final question. Well, MOT didn't get a chance to really talk about his experience in the military.
Hmm.
Do
Go ahead and tell
you
them about
do
Lackland.
you feel like
Oh, my bad, my
really?
bad. I need to jump the gun. Now I was saying, Tony, go ahead and tell them about Lackland because I did my A school down there, but I ain't mean to jump the gun.
Yeah, a quick synopsis about what your military experience was like, and would you go back if you could?
My overall experience was very positive. I was a guy from, like I said, the Mississippi Delta. There was no way in the hell I was getting out of the Mississippi Delta without the military. I filled in the circle completely that I never wanted to go anywhere but Mississippi. Boom, I'm a German. That's how it works. So I'm over there having a blast, and I just had a whole bunch of experiences, like even being a cop. I feel like I lived 30 or 40 different lifetimes watching everybody who's far older than I was, because I was 17 when I went. Go through all this stuff, you investigate all this stuff, you see all this stuff. It just gave me like a whole bunch of years of just wisdom, just being around older people and being responsible for a whole bunch of stuff that normally a 17-year-old kid would never get access to be around.
Hmm.
So it was very positive in that aspect. Now there's some negatives, but I don't really care about the negatives versus the positives of what I got out of it. I would say that it's worth it, but it's not like it made any impact on the Mississippi Delta by me serving at all. You know, that's kind of you think that you're gonna be in there and all of a sudden it's gonna be extra money for things. Not, nah, it don't work that way.
Yeah.
I can tell you corporate America got of it.
So do you see it as like a business opportunity, being former military, where you can start creating these APCs and these MRAPs and things like that, and as as a black business and actually profit from it?
Well, I actually do have government contracts, and I never
Okay.
would be able to have those without having that service experience. I suggest everybody try to go get 8A certified, minority certified through the federal government. I encourage any because you can just use your 8A certification to go get some of these government contracts. Then you can just turn them over to the AFL-CIO and let them staff it. And you just be the guy who just goes in and gets the contract because they have to spend a certain amount of money per year on minority contracts. So,
Hmm.
and this is a 50 state kind of thing. So there's not a lot of people who's 8A certified. And if they do, they just pay them pennies where you can just make yourself a better deal by doing that. That's why I had to, move some assets around and that kind of stuff. So that way I can be 8A certified. But that way I can go on a 50 state strategy to try to get these government contracts and try to get people hired and all this kind of stuff. So it's, like I said, it's been a positive experience for me. I made it pay a hell of a lot more than I got out of it. I mean, it helped me out a lot, but then once you see how much money you can make by just having contracts for them, it's pretty damn positive, man. Because I wouldn't be able to have most of the stuff I would have in life right now if it wasn't for that.
Now, I bring up this question only because you missed the beginning of the hangout where there was we were basically going over the South African Aerospace and Defense Expo that they had last month, and they were showcasing some really interesting products. Um, you know, uh, they had all types of APCs, all types of MRAPs. Um, they had lots of drones that were. These are all. This is a black-owned company called the Paramount Group. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that, but they're like one of the biggest military contractors in Africa on the continent. And you know they make these very advanced products that they're even now starting to sell back to the U.S. government. So what I'm saying here is, do you see that as a market, expanding outside of the United States, where African countries who can't typically afford, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, or McDouglas, or McDonnell, I should say, all these tier one military contract agencies that sell these products, they can't afford to buy that, and they can't afford to buy these Rheinmetall, European country based military hardware. Do you see an opening for black men in that space where they can undercut and the market from these tier one vendors?
Absolutely. And I'll take it a step further than that. I don't want any black people on the front lines of anything. There's a lot more money around the military than actually in the military. So I would love it for us to just kind of fall back, and do those type of things for other countries or companies rather than to go into the military kind of experience itself. But like I said, it takes a lot of time and infrastructure and all kinds of things. But I would love to see a day to where we're just not out there on the front lines like that. We're out there selling the products to them. We're doing the coding for the actual products from our community. It's just not really participating in it on a level that, you can obviously get immigrants and, people who really want to participate in that kind of stuff too. So I do agree that that is a huge opportunity. And I would love for black people to just be somewhere, someone walking in and buying something versus seeing some black dude with a flag draped coffin because he was in something that he thought he was going to be able to get out of. So yeah, I would love for brothers to be in like a safer position, being on the back end. So that's what I would like.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. I follow a lot of Jane's IHS website and their social media page on YouTube, as well as Defense Web. So I've been looking at the South African Defense Exposition for quite some time now, and I've also been following the Russian Arms Expo, and Vladimir Putin said to the Africans that anybody who wants to do business, at least worth $1 million as a bare minimum, Russia is open for business. This was Putin talking to Africans. So I think, us looking just like these guys, look like our brothers on the continent. I think there's opportunity to do business with Russians. I saw a video where I forget which South African company it was, but they basically took a T-72 Russian tank chassis, and they had this hybrid V8 or V12 engine with an electric motor to it that allows this tank to actually go on EV power versus petrol power, and vice versa. It's a hybrid tank engine, and I think it's a black-owned South African company as well. There's also a all-black woman military contract company down in South Africa that's supposed to be doing pretty good for themselves. So I think there's opportunities there, and just wanted to get your take on that.
Hey, the arms merchant business is always going to be good, especially if you add technology onto it. I mean, because if you look even 25 years ago, none of this stuff was around, or even was around to the point to where it is now. So, like I said, if all you can do is just sell weapons and just not be at war with people, hey man, that is a hell of a position to be in. I think that's a very positive aspect. Yeah, you're selling weapons of war. Yeah, people get killed with them, but at least you keep them away from you. So you give them to other
Now,
people, they go do their thing with.
now you're in the trucking business, are you not?
Yes.
What about armored semi tractor trailer trucks on the road? Is that a avenue that can be ventured?
And in war zones, sure. Like none of the things were up armored when they were driving around. It'd be a convoy. It'd be a Humvee in the front, a Humvee in the back, and kind of a tractor trailer in the middle. There was no up armored anything. Not even the concept I've even seen it. So, oh, absolutely. So,
I saw
I
and I
mean,
saw a video and I saw a video about Iraq, and they were talking about these military contractors. I'm not sure if they were Halliburton or not, but they were basically saying that they were being sent across the country or across conflict zones where they need to go get like a 12 pack of batteries for for a comm radio or something like that. Risking their lives in these unarmored 18 wheelers. And I'm like, that's suicide.
yeah, it is. And like I said, for as long as they've been over there, none of that stuff is up armored. The only thing that does have a chance of being up armored, but this is pretty civilianized, are like some of the Humvees that are made in China. Apparently, China can make up armored Humvees, but we can't for some reason. When we were making them, it's outrageous. But yeah, it's and it can't be that much more costly effective than you losing an entire vehicle. It just can't be. I mean, because what you're trying to do is mitigate risk, right?
Hmm.
And I think it's a good idea because I've known a couple people who died from that.
Hmm.
IED goes off, everybody's dead inside the vehicle.
Hmm.
And not yet they've been able to get like blast shields that kind of go under the entire vehicle that would be able to even stop like shrapnel. It isn't even that hard to stop it, but it's just that they just really didn't give a damn about the people who's driving the trucks or the Humvees for that matter. But if you're like a private military, army type shit, they yeah, they made sure they were cool, but nobody really cared about the soldiers like that. So for somebody to like get in the business of actually selling those type of things could be lucrative. Just saying,
Hmm.
that place is gonna be messed up for a long time. That is something you can guarantee. The place is not gonna recover. So it might be the best move is
And
to transit.
yeah, I just found it interesting because I was watching that video on YouTube, and it's like we're going through conflict zones for AA and D cell batteries, and I'm scratching my head saying, you have drones. Why don't you just put the goddamn batteries on the drone and just fly it to the next location? Like, why do you have to send a truck into a conflict zone that's unarmored, 18 wheeler with nothing on the flatbed, just to go pick up a pack of batteries?
Man, look, you don't want everybody flying drones in situations like that, man. I mean, I do get what you're saying, but the idea of 20 different drones dropping shit, like, yeah, it could be a nightmare. But that's why they do
Hmm.
send trucks. I mean, you have people do this for like water. I mean, you think batteries are ridiculous. Just doing it for like water or comm lines. You have to make that whole trip across war-torn areas for something that's simple rather than just airdrop, which they still don't do. I've never really understood that. Those same AC-130s could be packed with a whole bunch of stuff that you could just simply airdrop and they still don't do it. I don't know.
Now, now, what's everybody's gripe with the VA? Like, what is it about the VA that is so bad that people, your vets are dissatisfied with the VA? If you and I know can touch on it.
Oh my God.
Uh,
Every VA is not the same. That's for one. There's some VAs that are better than other ones, and the other ones that are bad, they're bad. You have a guaranteed job, so you got that secure. So people are lax, so they just go lazy, give you attitude because it's hard to fire them. Even down to the janitors, it's hard to fire these people. Then you get more. It's depending on where the VA at, which VA you go to, you get better service in the civilian sector. Uh, and other people think that the VA practice on you, uh, uh, whatever procedure that you need to do. They practicing on you. So yeah, the VA has a bad rap that they have not shaken. Hello?
Yep, sir.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm done.
All right, for me, all right. So I go to the VA in 3 different states. The one in Colorado, we just built like a $2 billion facility. So the service in Colorado is amazing and great. Okay, let's say if I go to a place like Kansas, okay, it's pretty much tied to if they are a conservative ranch state, it's a near lock that they got a effed up VA system. I mean, it's just guaranteed without any question. Unless it's like Texas, to where they have a huge military presence. Outside of that, it's pretty much an individual basis. But for the most part, if you're in a conservative ranch state, it's chances are you're going to have a very, very bad VA type of situation. I'll give you an example. Cleveland, Ohio area. Even the clinics that you go to, I think they're called like outpatient clinics or something like that. It's not
Yeah,
like a full blown VA hospital.
yeah,
But okay, let's say you go there, and I know what the experience is like in Colorado, where I'm at. You go there, people are like exceedingly rude for no reason. I'm like, this is your job. You come to work. There's no way to get them fired, man. Like he says, there is no prepared or anything. I had people that I had people even hang up on me for asking simple questions. There have been people in Ohio when you call like the suicide line at the hospital that they hang up
mhm,
on people. Still can't fire them. And if you can't hang up on people who are having type of social issues and they cannot get fired, that sends a message that shockwaves throughout the whole entire system. I
yeah.
don't see what is being gained by keeping these people around.
And
I guarantee you somebody can use that job.
yeah, right. Yes, yes. And there you tend to judge other VAs by that one VA you've been to, and it was great service. So you go to other VAs, and it's not, people not friendly, and you thinking like, oh, I want to be here. And at Heinz VA in Chicago on a spinal ward unit, these, if the guys feel that the nurses are ignoring them, they'll call the police. They'll call the police, and they tell the police, "Yeah, I've been wanting some help. Nobody came, and such long." They will call the police, and I say that to say it depends on also the veterans. If the veterans that are active at that VA, if they're not active, and it's you know uh, the veterans are not holding these people accountable, then that goes into play of that VA is not being a good VA.
And that's a smart strategy though, to call the police because what they're doing is neglect. Now, what people don't
Hmm.
understand is police can give people like direct orders, and you have to follow this shit.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter whether you're a civilian or not, a federal employee or not. The police shows up and like, hey man, you need to refill this prescription. Then they get on their job and they fulfill the prescription. If they don't, they're disobeying the direct order. Then they're in like a police interference type situation. Plus, you're there with a guy. You're in a VA hospital, looking at you to do simple stuff. Like it's a whole type of shame tactic, but it does work. I have done it myself more than a couple of times,
hmm,
especially when I was in Louisville, Kentucky. When I was, homeless out there for a couple months. But I, made some bad calls. But yeah, man.
and
Uh,
al-
yeah, go
and
ahead.
also a lot of VAs don't. There's not enough veterans working at the VA. And you have a lot of civilian people working at the VA, and um, if you are working at the VA and you were in the military, you chances are you still have that
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 duty.
right, that duty with you. But a lot of civilian people, I ain't doing that. So they are going to get cursed out. Their military people have less of a filter on their mouth. So you have these civilian people working in these VAs, and they giving you back talk. Fights break out.
Yeah, as they should.
So are you calling VA police, or is it local police? 'Cause I think VA has their own police enforcement, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
really both.
Local law enforcement. Local law enforcement.
Yeah, both. Yeah, because the VA police works with the local law enforcement. Because in Hines VA, Chicago VA, Hines, the city of Hines is the VA. It's how big it is. It on its own land, it has its own zip code. So the VA, the police works with the local police.
Oh, okay. So they're kind of like an all-in-one, like in
Yeah,
Denver.
yeah.
They're like, I mean, even though they're the VA police, they don't really leave the hospital, even though it's out in the middle of nowhere. And they're
Mhm.
kind of like quote unquote security for all the floors of the actual building,
Yeah,
even though they don't believe it.
it's the same there. It's just if the local police need backup, need help. If it's a strenuous situation that they need more police, then the VA police will come out. But it's not like they going to people's houses and yeah, you call 911. Nah,
That'd be like for
yeah,
exigent circumstances where they get called.
exactly. But yeah,
Anyway,
it depends on the VA, and some VAs suck. I will tell you that some VAs suck, and I like the Hines VA. More people there are friendly than not friendly. So I down here in Miami VA, I'm judging them based on Chicago VA. I'm looking like I don't like this. The VA is dated. Um, it's not modern. It's the beds are from the 80s. You got holes in the wall. It's like this is not a VA I want to come to. This is
So are the VA state run, or they nationally run by the federal government?
they're locally ran with federal funds, but somehow these state governments get to take money out of the VA fund and spend it on whatever the hell they want to spend it on. And that's how
Wow.
come these places are able to look like they look in certain areas and not really look like that in others.
wait, repeat that one more time.
They could take money out of the VA budget, your state government.
Oh, okay. No wonder.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, because there's a stark difference between how Lionel describes the Florida VA versus how you describe the Colorado VA,
Hmm.
Yeah.
and I'm wondering
$2
like
billion
why is
dollar
there such a stark
facility.
difference?
You get help 24 hours a day. But also, Denver, Colorado is like the largest concentration of veterans, no matter what they are, in the entire country. So that may have something to do with why our
Yes.
facility is
Uh,
made for help.
and trust me, veterans gonna say something. Hey, y'all need to. Veterans will get out and help other veterans. Like here in Miami, like the cafeteria looks like it's from the 80s. You know that neon 80s mall cafeteria. It looks just like that. And not to judge the entire hospital from the cafeteria, but I'm judging the entire hospital from the cafeteria, and it's the different offices look. It's like okay, if you don't update your aesthetic of the waiting room or the doctor's office, what do your machinery look like? Do you have updated machinery? And I've been to four VAs. I've been to Boston VA and Roxbury. which is huge. I've been to the VA New Hampshire, been to this Miami VA. I've been to Hines VA, Chicago. I rank Chicago of those VAs the highest because they're constantly updating stuff. Then Boston VA have been here in years, but they're constantly working on their hospital, updating it. But the Miami VA, I feel sorry for these guys down here, man.
You know, it's interesting that you bring up the VA in Miami or Florida, because I think we had an article we discussed before about scams in Florida in terms of insurance, healthcare insurance companies, body snatchers and all this other crazy stuff that goes on in Florida. So it seems Florida seems to be notorious with this corruption in
Yeah.
state-run institutions and insurances.
Uh, I don't know if it's just the area or the entire state because there's a VA in Tampa, and I hear the VA in Tampa is really good. But the Miami VA needs an overhaul. It does. It really does.
I wonder if there's, I wonder if there's an opportunity for Black people to actually, take advantage of these, well, not take advantage, but create their own clinics where um, a minute clinic for VAs or something like that, where they basically just pull up, to get simple services done and just be out.
I mean, they won't do that because they don't want to spend money on the VA. So they're definitely not going to spend money on something that costs more than their actual mission that they're not even completing. So that's when people talk about, oh, we need for something to be privatized. I'm like, that's great. So if you want to spend all this money privately, okay, that's fine. But why don't you fix what's already here? The extra money you're going to be spending other places. And another reason why they don't do it is because of all the billing shenanigans that happen in normal insurance agencies. And they would
Mm.
just run up a tab that you wouldn't believe just because it's government based. So that way you can
Yeah,
end up doing
charge
a
more.
whole bunch of more tests for stuff that you clearly don't need that could really make you really sick. And that's how come they don't trust private organizations to do that. But they do trust the people who can't be fired to do stuff too. So
Wow.
it just needs to be overhauled, and it needs to be. To me, I think it should be prison and jail time if you were to be that kind of ridiculous with people who serve the country. I think it should be
One,
some level of assault for not.
yeah, I agree. I agree. One thing, I totally agree with what you just said. If you just heard the country, you're doing this to them, then yeah, that's automatic jail time. Because if it wasn't for us, uh, you wouldn't enjoy a lot of these luxuries. But one thing I like about the VA is they work, at least the VAs I've been to, they work with um, college medical schools.
Yeah,
So
that's bad.
yeah, that's Chicago. Hines VA work with Loyola University Medical School. Miami VA works with the University of Miami Medical. I like that. That I like, and they're always next door to them. No,
Yep. Same here. Like the University Hospital of Colorado is right beside the VA.
yep. Same in Chicago. You got Hines VA, but then you go across the parking lot, which is a big parking lot. You run to Loyola Medical,
And right
and
beside Devon Children's Hospital. So
and the doctors come over and do uh if there's need to be any surgery, whatever surgery it is, that doctor that's does that surgery, they come over, do the surgery, and they got the little patches on their coats, Loyola University and then the VA. So yeah, that I do like.
Now, Christian, you were in the military, right? Christian, are you there?
No, I wasn't in the military.
It wasn't in the code boot camp or code ROTC or something like that.
No, I did a lot of martial arts training, but I wasn't in the military at all.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys have any closing thoughts before I close this hangout?
What you brought up with the private ROTC is an excellent idea.
It is.
That's something we'll probably revisit. You know, the next military talk. I think I want to see Boogie on here and a couple other guys.
When will the next
full discussion?
When will the next military talk be?
I think by the time you get back to Chicago.
Roger that. Roger that.
But thank you all for joining us on this hangout. This was something I came up with early in the week. I've been wanting to do, so I figured this is the first one we got into. We'll be back on Monday for the Space and Technology Hangout, which would be episode 74?
75.
Episode 75, sorry. Yeah, episode 75. Thank you all for joining us and have a good weekend.